Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Established in 2014, DeLuna Coffee is owned and operated by the Lemmix family. Ed, Courtney, and their son Brett. Ed graduated from FSU in 1979, Brett in 2009. Lifelong fans and Florida State boosters, the Lemmixes attend multiple football games every year where you can find them tailgating near the Unconquered statue. Pull up a chair and pour yourself a Palafox Place. Named after the main hub, Palafox Place in downtown Pensacola, DeLuna has combined a Brazilian, Colombian, and African bean to give it just the right flavor. This coffee can be enjoyed any time of the day. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! We back! It's Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code is Warchant30. All you folks on YouTube, thank you. Hit the thumbs up button. We would appreciate it. And welcome back, everybody, on the Apple devices. Again, we're back up and running, both feeds. So we're going to keep them both up and running, Corey. That way, it's not like, hey, delete this, install that. Everything should be returned to normal. You and I are also back. How are you, Corey?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
Great, man. Great. It's been weird. 2 days of not doing this. Feel rusty. Luckily, recorded a short video with Michael Langston about A.J. Duffy from Arizona, currently at IMG, Rivals 100 quarterback who committed to the Noles. Maybe I'll tack on that video, the audio of it, on the end of this for the folks who don't listen to our YouTube. So kind of warmed up the pipes a little bit. You've been on dad duty all day today, seems like, on Wednesday.
Yeah, I had to trade Brady. Drive him all over town, out from school, then to practice, then back from practice. Had to go get dinner. Although Brady upset me enough at practice on Wednesday that I did not get him dinner. I got myself dinner, and he got to eat a lean cuisine and fruit.
Nice.
And I got Bojangles.
Ooh, is that how you punish him? Like,
well, and I would have gone to Zaxby's like I like to do, but it was too crowded. Couldn't get in there. Literally, it would have taken me 45 minutes, and we had to do the show. So, no, I've never done that before, but he made me so mad that I decided I was gonna use that as a punishment.
Put your foot down. Look at you. Corey.
And it wasn't mad because he wasn't like hitting bullets or he missed balls or anything. It was an interaction he had with a coach that I did not approve of. So I told him we're not doing that anymore.
Oh, so all right, I gotcha. All right, well that's good. I could have probably used that stuff around when I was a kid. I ran my mouth at coaches. Wasn't a good thing,
Well, and the thing about Brady, not to get too personal about my son, but like he listens to what you're saying all the time. He does not make eye contact a lot. He will look down, he'll look to the side, but he looks really annoyed when you're trying to talk to him. And that particular instance, he looked really, really annoyed, and it bothered me to the point that I told him he was being disrespectful, and then I just talked myself into no. I'm not getting you dinner. You're gonna have a lean cuisine, buddy. You're gonna have a lean cuisine and some fruit and go to bed. So sometimes you got to parent, Aslan. You know what I mean? I don't like it.
Yeah, hey man, I get it.
But the beauty of me is that I think most parents will be like, well, hey, we're not going to eat something. We're not going to get a treat tonight. We're going to go home. I'm going to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and so are you, and that's going to be the end of it. No, I got what I wanted. I still went out and got what I wanted. He's the one that had to eat something he didn't really want to eat.
Yeah, there we go. Pulled up a review. We haven't done this in a while. I think this is from the DeLuna feed. This is actually on Monday. It's left by a gentleman by the name of Joe Diggs. 5 stars, the best FSU podcast out there. I'm a huge fan. Gene, Ira, Corey, Michael, and Aslan are honest, funny, and work very well together. They provide in-depth coverage of the major FSU teams. The best FSU pod out the beat.
Wow, so, that's the nicest one you've ever read, I think.
Oh yeah, man. There's another 5-star behind it too, but I'm not gonna sit here and pat ourselves.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that the whole time. But that's and there are a lot to choose from. So I can't imagine there's another college certainly not one that went 3-6. That has the number of podcasts that this program does, but that's why we appreciate you guys listening, because you do have a lot of options, and you're choosing the best one.
Since we've been away, Florida State played a baseball game. They were victorious. Matthew Nelson continues to hit home runs. That's super cool. Pitching remains in flux. Everybody else is hitting home runs, too. They defeated Stetson on Tuesday. They have Troy Friday, Saturday, Sunday here in the friendly confines of Hauser. On Wednesday, apparently, I think this was first dropped by WCTV in Tallahassee, the CBS station affiliate, that the name of the football stadium, Doak Campbell, will remain in place. I mean, somebody asked, I think, on the boards, does this mean it's case closed? And it's like, well, is anything ever really case closed?
No.
But if, for whatever reason, if you had fear that they were going to change the name of the stadium, find something else to be worried about, because that's not going to happen.
Not anytime soon, anyway. Yeah,
at least anytime soon.
For the foreseeable future.
And then, obviously, the heartbreaking, tragic news of former Florida State linebacker Geno Hayes, who lost his battle with liver disease. Passed away at 33, leaves behind a wife and 2 children, ages 13 and 8. You wrote up the story real quick to put on the site after it happened. I can't wrap my head around it, man. 33, I wasn't an old head, but man, Geno's younger than me. I was in the stands rooting for Geno. I was on television watching and rooting for Geno. This is, I can't remember somebody younger than me that I kind of I don't want to say admired, but I really cheered and rooted for passing away like this. It's I still can't wrap my head around it, man. And deep outpouring of support across the country, man. Even the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, released a statement. So I'm not good at this kind of stuff. You might be better at it than I am, Corey. But just a real tough thing to hear, and I just hope his family finds some sort of comfort, is able to find some comfort that maybe he's no longer having to battle and struggle with this after all these years.
It's just, man. I was thinking back to man, what if I'd have passed away when I was 33? What would I have missed? I would have missed all of Brady. And I know I was just here lamenting how he acted at a stupid baseball practice in April, but that's my life. All the things that 33 is so young. Anybody listen to this that's older than that, put yourself back at 33 and imagine. I can't even imagine. And then imagine the parents, the kids. It's just a tragedy, man. It's just a tragedy. Anytime life is cut short like that, for whatever reason, it's just an absolute tragedy, and that's awful. And there's really nothing you can say. It's just awful. It's awful and awful and awful.
Well, that said, after a few days away, we're back here to do a show for you folks. We got Renegade Express questions to get to. Matt AMCZ, it's Mark. He's down in Naples. He says, wake up! Man, it's the dog days of the offseason. I think we all know now that Norvell was a good hire and is slowly turning this thing around. Okay? I don't know, man. I'm not going to bury our guy, but it's a good hire. The recruiting's going well. We hope it's getting turned around. I think Mark he's a 1 seed in the optimism bracket tournament, or he's a 1 seed when it comes to optimism. He's of our listeners. He's up there, man.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I don't want to bring him down. Just sometimes you're not speaking for all of us, but you're speaking for more people than I am, probably, Mark. So I got you. Now I know it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process that won't likely result in going into Clemson next fall and giving Dr. Dabo the beating he deserves. But then I think about teams that come together, have a special quarterback, a great coach, and truly have a special season. Why not us, guys? Why not us 2021? Or just tell me to be patient and stop being so optimistic without reason. No, I'm not going to do that to you. Not right now.
I think there's reason. There's reason to be optimistic.
You just mentioned
but you can also be reasonable with your optimism, right? There's a reason to think this is going to be this program is going in the right direction, and it's going to be a much better team in 2021 and 2022 than what we saw in 2020. That's reasonable to expect that. It's also not reasonable to think they're playing for a championship anytime soon. That would be unreasonable, dare I say. But I don't think Mark thinks that. I think he likes where this is going. There's no real proof quite yet on the field, tangible proof on the field on Saturdays that Norvell is a great hire and is going to be a great head coach. But again, we're cautiously optimistic that he will be.
See, Kirby was a good hire. He's Kirby, good hire. That's a kind of a high threshold to set, I guess. I liked him more than P.J. Fleck. I didn't want P.J. Fleck. But, I like Bob Stoops a lot. I liked Matt Rule a lot. I like Matt Campbell a lot. But, hey, this is the hand we were dealt. We're climbing now. I don't know what the other guys would have said, but we're climbing.
Well, you've been rowing a boat with what's his name.
I want no part of it. Want no part of PJ Fleck. Want no part of it. Hey, my turn. Maybe Minnesota just had a little blip last year. Maybe they'll be back. I harbor no ill will. There's no umbrage between PJ and I. If I see him at the AFCA convention, I'll pound him up. But I just didn't want him.
Okay, all right.
Quick dad corner question. Although I know were we supposed to riff more about there? I mean, it can happen. I mean, we didn't see 2013 coming. A couple more.
What could happen? I mean, no, nothing's happened. No.
Well, that can't happen. But what could be a truly special? But that's you say truly special season is Florida State. You'd have to be 2 out of 3 Clemson, Florida, and Miami. Like I'm not even going to put trophies. I'm not saying playoff. But if you beat 2 out of those 3 teams, I think you could call it a special season. But that's a tough ask. It's a really tough ask.
Yeah, they're not going to. Yeah. If they beat 2 of those 3 teams, which isn't it can't. I mean, there is a possibility. If they win 2 out of those 3 games and finish with 8 wins or 9 wins, that's a special season. It's not a probability; it's a possibility.
What about 2 out of 4 if we include Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think again that's a possibility.
But is that special though? Is that a special season?
No, not here. Not at Florida State. You wouldn't. But it could be looked upon. Like did we look at 2010 as a special season? They beat Florida.
I enjoyed it.
They beat Miami.
Yeah. It was a fun season. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Other than the Oklahoma game, but otherwise loved it.
So, but 2010, you wouldn't. I mean, they beat Clemson on the 55-yard field goal. They beat the tar out of Miami. They beat Florida and made Urban quit for real. But I still, when you look back, you wouldn't say that was a special season. It ended up being, in retrospect, a very important season. And maybe that's what 2021 can be.
Okay. Like that. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Quick dad corner question. Corey, has Brady ever come to you out of the blue wanting to quit a sport or activity that he was quite good at? Happens to me all the time with my 13-year-old. He got down to a 3 handicap, then one day said, I hate golf, sell my clubs. I want to force it somewhat and make him play instead of video games. But I remember my dad being so intense about my sports. I got really good. I played Division I golf, but the pressure wasn't any fun. Any strategies you have found successful? Thanks. Go Noles.
If my kid was a 3 handicap at 13 years old,
yeah, man.
I mean, we'd be on the course right now. Like, he wouldn't go to school. We'd go to there's got to be like a Bolletary type camp for golfers where they just go to school, like IMG, right? He could just go there and play golf all the time and then study for 30 minutes, at the night, at the 19th hole. So no, I don't have any great advice for that. My son is a pretty good baseball player. He's a pretty good athlete, but that to me seems you're bordering on elite if you're a 3 handicap as a 13-year-old.
Scholarship, like not having to pay college for your son.
Like you would have, I would think, if you, I know going, and this is from somebody that's a terrible golfer, but I know going from like a 3 to a scratch is a jump that some people can't make. Like you hear that all the time, like people get stuck at like a 4.
Yeah.
But as a 13-year-old, you would think he'd get bigger, stronger, hit the ball further. And if he's already a 3, you would think he'd be a scratch by the time he's 15 or 16. And then he's getting a college, he's getting a golf scholarship. He's doing a lot of cool things. I don't have a lot of great advice for that. I would say I'd wonder why he didn't want to do it, I guess would be my question. Like if Brady quits, it'll probably be because of me. But with a guy, it doesn't sound like you're putting a lot of pressure on him because of your dad. So I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning would be that he'd want to quit. But I would have a hard time to answer the question. I would have a hard time letting him quit. Now I know I was being facetious saying we'd be practicing right now, but if you're gifted at something and you're good at it and you love it enough to get to a 3 handicap, like he must have put in hours upon hours. One bad day or one bad week or even a bad month where it just doesn't seem fun, you see it all the time where people just give up and then 3, 4, 20 years later, they're like, wow, I wish I'd have stuck with that. So I hope whatever made him want to sell the clubs He realizes whatever it was, it's not that bad. He should go try, it's fun. It's fun to score well, I would imagine, in golf, and hopefully he gets the passion back. But if his passion isn't there, I guess you can't force it, right?
Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, is there a way? Can't you push buttons as a dad? Like, hey, buddy, like, I get it. Like, we'll put him away. But I'm telling you, man, you're really good at this. This is something that I think you really should keep exploring because it's going to be something that you will find joy in, and it's going to be something that is going to help you throughout life. And we're not going to do it right now. We'll take some time off, but hey, man, just let's not throw it all away right now. Maybe I'll film a video for you, Mark. I'll pretend I was a golf prodigy and I quit it, and how I just regret it every day of my life, and I wish I would listen to my dad, and now I'm homeless. And I'm filming it vertically on my phone. So, and I'll be in a dodgy part of Tallahassee. But this
and
is
that's something
he
can show his kid.
Yeah, but hey,
smart. I like that. I like that, Aslan.
Look at that.
So yeah, I would think that's a tough question. Brady, he was an actor. Like he was in a play when he was like 9, and he was really good in it. He was Mary Poppins.
Thespian.
Yeah. And he was good in it. And I remember walking into his I met her. We were walking on a trail, and his drama teacher, his 6th grade drama teacher, said, "Hey, Brady," and started talking to us as we were walking. She's like, "Man, he needs to try out for my gifted drama class. Please, Brady, tell me you're going to try out." And she's like, "He's really, really good. He'll make it. It's not even a tryout. He'll make it. He's really good at it and really talented." And Brady didn't really have any interest in it. And I kind of pushed him a little bit. It's like, dude, that's a cool job if you're good at it and you like doing it. And he said he just didn't like doing it. It's like, all right, well, I won't push it then. Now give me 20 push-ups.
Exactly. Candy for Noles. First off, thanks so much for covering Olympic sports. We should all be proud of any Seminole athlete who works hard and wins things. Well
hey,
said.
Real quick, John Pack. I know the Florida State golf team lost a heartbreaker ACC championship to Clemson. I guess the Clemson kid made like a 25-foot putt in sudden death on a par 3 to win the ACC championship. So Florida State finished second. But John Pat, and so Trey Jones still only has the one ACC championship. Trey, come on now.
Come on, Trey.
But they can more than make up for it in a couple weeks because they play for the national championship, or the first round of it anyway. And John Pack, their best player, is currently ranked the number 1 player in the country.
Let's go.
Which is really impressive. Like that's like Ricky Fowler, David Duval, like all these golf. Like that's the beauty about college golf is all these guys will be on the pro tour. This isn't like tennis where some of them make it, some of them don't. All the top 10, top 20. You look at these guys, and a good portion of them will make a long living on the PGA Tour. This is where they come from, is college golf. So that's really saying something to be the number 1 ranked college golfer in the country. So good for him.
Guy from Stanford ended up working out pretty all right on the tour, right?
You talking about Tom Watson?
Yeah.
Nota Begay.
Yes, Nota Begay the third.
Yeah.
Nota Begay the third.
The third. The second didn't do a whole lot, if I remember correctly. Didn't really make a name for himself. Yeah.
Here's my version of a 3-2-1, Candy for Noles says. All right, Ira, you've been replaced apparently. 3, here's my prediction. Some team will fall in love with Hamza Nasruddin, and he will go higher than expected. I like that. I hope so. I like Ham. 2, a thought. This new free-for-all transfer rule will help FSU. Kids can give us a chance and know they aren't stuck if things don't turn around. Finally, a benefit from the changes in recruiting these last few years. What do you guys think? I like the way you look at that, Candy.
But
why
what was
not?
I didn't understand.
Why do we always have to look at it as like a bad thing? Like I think when you and I lament the transfer portal and stuff, I don't think we look at it from a hyper Florida State angle. We just kind of talk about what it's going to mean for the overall health of the sport. But I agree with that. That's a good way to look at it. That if you are selling a turnaround, a rebuild, and not that they're going to be like, hey, if it doesn't work out, you can always leave. But I'm sure the people in these athletes, recruits, circles, and corners are telling them, hey, if you feel good about it, you do have this get out of free jail card kind of to where you can leave. So I like that. I'm going to go with that. I agree with it. What do you think, Corey?
I think Florida, it could work out well for Florida State. It already has, right? Like, half their starting defense is going to be people that didn't start here. And then the basketball team got 2 of the best transfers on the market. And they didn't lose any big ones. So, so far it's worked out all right for Florida State. I just think it's going to change the fabric of the sport. And how hard can you be coaching a kid? You want to teach lessons sometimes. And maybe this 5-star kid comes in with all this talent, but also a bit of an ego. and maybe isn't a great practice player. So you're trying to teach him a lesson, and you're hard on him, or you don't let him play a lot because you're trying to teach him a lesson at the beginning of the season, and he just bounces. Like, I just don't know. And look, they can do whatever they want, man. Coaches get to go; they get to go. We all get that, but I just worry about what it does. More with basketball. I don't know why it bothers me in basketball, but not in football. But it just seems to bother me more in basketball than it does in football. It just seems completely out of control. But yes, for Florida State in particular, so far so good. And yeah, Norvell, certainly they bought what he was selling this time. Now, let's see what this year looks like. If they come out and do well and win 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 games, or if they win 5, let's see if there's more people leaving than coming and all that stuff. But I think Norvell sells a message that all these the kids that, at least the kids that came this year, really enjoy and believe in. And so you hope that continues.
I just like the idea that I always feel bad for guys like Cam, to a lesser degree like Lorenzo Booker. Like, you didn't sign up for this. You had good options. You didn't sign to come up here and go to the Emerald Nut Bowl or the Shreveport Bowl. So, like, if they were to be able to go somewhere better for themselves, I kind of like that. But, it's all going to work out for Cam ultimately. So, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's probably
yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, so Akers could have played it out. Like you can use Landon Dickerson. It's the perfect example of that. He got to win a national championship, became a household name won a national award, won a national championship. Like, it worked out perfectly for him, and it was a great move on his part. Nobody could argue that.
Yeah. I wasn't upset about the kid. People were upset that I wasn't upset at the kid. I remember that. I remember your guys' emails, people. And number 1, here's the last one, a request from Candy for Noles. If anyone is willing to part with a signed photo of the famous Kelvin Benjamin catch, I would love to get it for my kid's birthday coming up in June. Or if you know how I can find one, message me on Warchant. Thanks. Yeah, man. Kelvin's fallen off the grid.
Do you think when she says part, Candy, right? So we're assuming it's a woman, right?
I would assume so. Their avatar is a photo of their son, it looks like, with Jameis. So I don't have a photo of mom or dad.
So I just wanted to get the pronoun correct. But when she says part with, do you think she means sell to me?
Yeah, I think she's open to that. Yeah, I don't think she's asking for
I did too. Yeah, I just wasn't sure. Yeah, no, I didn't think so. But also, I would say this. There might be somebody out there that might just, if it's for something like that, a birthday present, and it's a fellow Nole, they might be willing to part with it.
Or maybe a really good color photocopy that you won't be able to tell the difference.
I wonder how many of those he signed, old Kelvin.
And how much he should have made money off of, but couldn't. Actually, he was gone. He was gone by then.
Yeah, I was going to say he was gone, so he probably he might have been signing them in the parking lot. So I would think he made some money if he sat down and signed 1,000 of those or something. But I feel like, don't you think that he could make he could almost make a real living just signing pictures of that for the rest of his life? Like Pete Rose?
No, not that, man. It's a very
what if you charged $10 for one?
He could move to Tallahassee and never have to pay for dinner. Probably.
Well, that's true.
That kind of stuff. But I
just think if you're charged $10 for one or $20 for one, maybe the demand would run out after a year or so. People would be like, all right, I already got 3 of them.
Right. I got
5 of them.
I got the AP photo, the Getty images. I got them all.
Yeah, got them all.
Collector set. I don't know. Maybe I'll holler at, I think James Blackman's godfather, he's a coach at Glade Central, which is where Kelvin went, so maybe he knows where he's at. I'll see if I can maybe get a hold of him and figure it out. But if anybody knows where Kelvin Benjamin's at, and where's Kelvin?
Or if you have a,
if you have signed,
if you have one of the pictures signed, yeah.
Old Dad's a Nole. Wake up! Can you guys opine on what was going on with the helmets in the spring game? I kept looking on the back of the jerseys for a Raphael or Donatello. What's the scoop on them? Did they look like turtle shells? Is that what we're trying to say?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming it's those Revolution helmets that suppose.
Yes.
I'm fine with it. I like it.
Well, he's wanting to know what they're there for. Those are the helmets they wear in practice.
Oh, the padded. Oh, okay, I got you. I'm sorry. I was slow
assume that's
on
what
there.
he means.
Okay, yeah, that probably sounds right. Yeah, they were around when Jimbo was here. A lot of other programs use it to kind of deflect and dampen the impact of helmet-to-helmet collisions in practice and in practice. Obviously, they can't wear them during the games. I'm all for him. Willie decided not to use him when he got here. That's his prerogative. I didn't agree with that. But, to Corey's point, if that's what you're talking about, which I also assume now being alerted to that, yeah, they're padded. So when you're an offensive lineman going up against a defensive lineman, it's instead of high-impact fiberglass on high-impact fiberglass, it's like neoprene gel. That's got to be. I'm sure your head appreciates it.
And it's for safety, obviously.
Yeah. Also, I remember things. Maybe we should make a segment, Old Dads and All. I remember things, sometimes odd things. Like, hey, Corey, I can tell you what Brent Musburger said when Vinny Testaverde bootlegged for a back-breaking touchdown against us, but I can't tell you any play from the 2007 season without a prompt. I also remember Dion and Sammy both going in the top 10, which at the time was amazing, and as the draft approaches, we'll be lucky to have more than 3 players even drafted. Why you got to go down negative street, old dad? Come on. I'm kidding. When our best players are transfers from Georgia, it's acceptable, but then it's FIU, UCF, South Carolina, and stinking Kansas. It bodes the question, how did this ever get to this point? I mean, the board was in an uproar over a possible Vandy transfer. That's where this is at, and man, that's a hard pill to swallow, old dad. Who's FAU? Miko's from FAU, not FIU. FAU. How did it ever get to this point? There should be a 30 for 30. 30 for 30 short on it, probably, I guess.
Where's Devontae Love Taylor from?
You're right. I apologize. FIU. I'm terrible. I'm going to stop talking this time. I did terrible this whole question. I had no idea what the helmet was. Got the wrong letters and the acronyms. It's all you, Corey. Go ahead.
Other than that, buddy. Other than that, though. They're 3-6, man. I forgot the record over the last 3 or 4 years, but it ain't good. It's under 500. This is what we've been covering. Let's just hope for all of our sake that they get back to what we all grew up with and are used to and are accustomed to. But yes, these are down times for Florida State football, but it does seem like they're starting to rebound. They did get a big commit on Wednesday. He's a 4-star, right? The QB
Rivals 100, man. Rivals 100 quarterback.
Well, that's a big deal, man. When if you go through the history of football, there probably aren't a ton of teams that have compiled the record that Florida State has compiled over the last 4 years, and then signed or gotten a Rivals 100 quarterback, or 2 of them, right?
I don't think Nico is. Nico's
okay, but he's
4-star,
4-star quarterbacks. That's not normal. So that does bode well. I know people are getting a little worried with some of the decommits that happened a couple weeks ago. This gets that momentum back going. But yeah, it's small steps, but they could be back soon. And maybe you'll remember the 2022 season like you do the 1988 season. Because that's a weird thing, man. The mind is a weird thing that I know the score of the 1990 Auburn game. I know that down to the final play. And then I don't know that I could tell you a score from last year other than 56-35, I think, was the final against Duke, just because that's outrageous.
Miami was 52-10, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, there you go. You got that one, too. The other ones, I couldn't tell you the score of them. I know if they won or lost. I know if they were close or not. Here's a hint. They weren't close, probably. But I couldn't tell you the score of the Louisville game.
What was it? Was it 13-10 Georgia Tech? 16-13?
I feel like 16-13.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, you got it. You still got it. But I mean, I don't remember a lot of stuff from the national title season. I really don't. I mean, I remember like moments of the Pitt game, but if I watch the Pitt game now, like I'd be, I don't remember that. I can almost guarantee you I wouldn't half of the stuff. But I forgot we did that. Look at that. Yeah,
and I go back and like watch it, not a whole game, but like a clip of like a 2015 game, and I'm like, oh wow, I forgot all about that. That's crazy. What a play. What a memorable moment. And then I didn't remember it at all. It's just it's the brain, man. And maybe you get so accustomed to it. But that wouldn't explain why I can remember all those games from the 90s when they won all the time. Maybe it's just your brain shuts down when they're not good. you don't want to remember them.
What would you say to somebody who asked you, like, at an airport, like 5 minutes before boarding? Like, hey, you work for, I see your bag, Warchant. What's that? Oh, I work for a Florida State website. Oh, cool, Florida State. What happened there? What happened to you guys? Like, what's the elevator bumper sticker? We got 3 minutes before
pitch, like the third. That's the thing in Hollywood, right? They have something called an elevator pitch where you're supposed to be able to explain the whole basis of your movie or TV show by the time you get on the elevator and then you get to the floor and the elevator opens up, your elevator pitch. Yeah. I would say recruiting went south under Jimbo. Jimbo left, and the person they hired to replace him was not up to the job and made it worse, and they just kind of careened off a cliff. That's how I'd say it. It started with Jimbo. Taggart was just as culpable. I guess. Culpable, yeah, that's the word. Maybe more so. But it was, 2017 Jimbo, followed by 2018 and 2019 Willie Taggart, was 3 not great coach seasons in a row. It wasn't 2012 Jimbo that they got, and that, it fell off a cliff. What are you going to do? It was still fun.
They had the one coach. He was really good, but he was kind of a jerk. They didn't like him, so they figured they could probably do better, and he didn't want to be here really all that much either. And it sounded like they're going to hire a really good guy, up-and-comers from Florida. Sounds going to work out, but he had these other guys he was going to bring with him that kind of held him up, and neither of those guys came. And then all the guys that he recruited when he didn't have a lot of time to, like, you hope that some of them would work out, and none of them really worked out. And so now here we are. That would be it.
Yes.
S. Quinn 67, wake up! Weather's been beautiful in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hope you guys are doing well. Great hitting series in Atlanta last weekend for the Noles. It was good to see. If they keep swinging like that, we have a chance for some postseason wins. I do. I hope so. Man.
Scored 30 runs. 30 runs in that series.
Yeah. Question for this week. Over the years, which FSU NFL draft picks were the biggest surprise for each of you? Who was picked earlier than you thought? Who fell further or wasn't drafted when you thought they would have been? Have a great week. Go Noles. Okay.
Huh.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Here we go. So, biggest surprise, Ponder. Being picked earlier than I thought. I remember people on the tribal council, he's a first-round pick. And a lot of people were like, come on, no way. Like, you watch, he's a first-round pick. It's like, absolutely not. Love him, but no. And then when it happened, it was like, oh, my God. I was working in Montana State, or I was in Montana, and the SID for one of the Montana State sports, huge diehard Vikings fan. And he's like, what do you know about this Ponder kid? And I'm like, I think it'll work out. He's great. I love him. He's great. And I really believe that. And especially when they drafted him that high, I'm like, all right, maybe he really is as good as I think he's going to be. I was wrong about that. Who fell? I don't know if this is saying that he fell further than I thought, but Anquan. But then, Anquan didn't do a whole – he had a good career at Florida State. Did we think he was going to be on the cusp of an NFL Hall of Fame career? I think we thought he had tools, but I didn't know if it was going to work out for him to this degree. But I think to see, like, what we thought he was going to be when he came to Florida State, what he ended up being, where he went in the draft, and then how his career kind of projected. That was a roller coaster, man, but it was for the best. It's awesome. Anquan is, like, literally fringe Hall of Famer. It's amazing. Anybody that I thought that went that didn't, anybody go undrafted that were like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe that.
I would say Christian Jones was somebody that I was really surprised by. Jernigan even lasted into the second round. I was surprised by if we keep it recent.
Okay.
And then I think Ponder and EJ both. Those were both. We talked to Jimbo before the draft. This was 2013, so it was the Jameis spring. We talked to him after a spring practice. Maybe it was like the day before the draft, and he was telling us that he thought he was going to be a second round pick. That's what he thought. And if Jimbo was surprised by EJ being a first-round pick, then we all were surprised by EJ being a first-round pick. So that's the one for me. And then, there were always a couple that you're like, man, that's crazy that he lasted that long. And I just thought Jernigan, there were times where he was the best player on that team, and it was crazy that he lasted till the second round. It was just crazy. And I would say he's one.
Eddie
I'm
Goldman,
just trying
too.
to think.
I thought Eddie Goldman was supposed to be a first-round guy, and he didn't go first round.
Yeah, but second. But that's like, is that really a drop to go from first to second? I'm trying to think of one where I thought a guy might be a first-round pick, and he was like sixth round. And I'm sure there's people screaming at us right now, but I just can't think of one off the top of my head of being really surprised. Maybe Dalvin too. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy that McCaffrey and Fournette were drafted like 2-4 in the draft. Something like that. Like they were both top 5 picks, right? And then Dalvin Cook is in the 40s. And there's no chance. And I think I like both those guys were very good. And Christian McCaffrey's a very, very good NFL player. I don't think if Dalvin had decided to go to Stanford that McCaffrey would have been first string. You know what I mean? Like I just don't know how you watch that guy and be like, yeah, no, we can't draft him. We need a running back.
4 and 8.
48 is nuts.
Fournette went 4th. McCaffrey went 8th.
Oh, he went 8th. What did Dalvin go?
41st.
Yeah, to me, that's about 30 spots too low, right? You looked at that guy in college.
Tack McKinley. The Falcons took Tack McKinley.
Yeah, I remember. Well, they had just locked up Devontae Freeman.
The Bucks took O.J. Howard. Titans took Adoree Jackson. I mean, there's some names on here. I mean, the Niners took Reuben Foster. There's guys, but he was the 3rd running back taken though. There wasn't like another running back that was like, oh my God, I can't believe they took him. Yeah, I mean, they took McCaffrey and Fournette, and Fournette was.
It's just crazy that what about those two guys? And they were both very good college running backs. Clearly,
he didn't hit a 4.4. I think he ran like a 4.5 something, which is probably enough for them to be like, all right, all these highlight runs he's doing, he's not gonna be able to run away from everybody the way he did at Florida State. Because I remember I wasn't working on the beat. I remember tweeting his 40 number, and I'm like, man, that's a bummer. That's not a first-round grade. And I got destroyed by FSU Torrent. That's before I even worked on the beat. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with all you people. I love him. I'm just saying I don't think that's going to make him go in the first round after putting up that number. But, hey, I mean, he's going to get that.
I'll be honest, he looks pretty fast in the NFL.
He does. No, he does.
Yeah.
He does. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But I just thought in that day, it seemed like Ezekiel Elliott was going to be the last guy, right? Like Ezekiel Elliott seemed like at that point, all right, no one's ever going to take another running back in the first round unless you're a freak like he is. And then like Fournette kind of was that way. I guess McCaffrey was to a certain degree, but it was at least in my head. I was like, all right, well, if you're going to do that, you have to have either like elite speed or elite vision and agility. But he had those two. Maybe he didn't have elite speed, but man, the way he turns, again, the way he actually accelerates when he runs on an arc and goes around off tackle is just not normal. Yeah. You think they would have saw that if they would put any of the tape in, but they'll be okay. Yeah. It's all going to work out for that kid. I'm sure of it. All right, that's that one. All right, let's go to Captain D _63. Wake up, fellas. Hope your day is going well. This is Daryl from Thomasville, North Carolina. The NFL draft is this week. FSU's got some guys that put their names in the hat to be drafted. I don't see any going in the first round personally. Asante and Marvin Wilson may or may not go till the 2nd. Personally, I would pick them in the 3rd round. Ooh, I'd take Asante in the 2nd easily if I needed help at the cornerback position. Save myself some money by doing that, he says. My reasoning is they might have the talent to be drafted in the first round, but they haven't played like it, so why give them first-round money when you can get these two guys in the late 2nd or early 3rd and save yourself a few $1 million? What do you guys think about these two, and will FSU have any others drafted this year?
Yeah, Najee will get drafted for sure. I think maybe I'm being too confident with that, but I would be very surprised if he didn't. He's got a lot of tape, and his measurables when he's healthy are really, really impressive. Yeah, I think I like Asante, man. I think Asante's a NFL corner for a decade if he stays healthy. He's a competitor. He's a good player. Marvin. The Marvin's we talked about that on headlines about like, what do you make of Marvin? Like, he wasn't anything in 2020. The only news he made at all was a tweet. Like, that's the only memorable thing he did in 2020.
He set a Florida State record. He blocked 2 kicks in one game. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's true. The game they lost anyway. But like that's the only that was the only memorable thing that happened in 2020 for Marvin. Yeah. But 19 and 18, he was one of the best interior linemen in the country. Literally, like you look at his PFF grades, he was like a top 10 player in the country regardless of position or something nuts like that.
Correct.
He was really good in 19. So you would think that would mean something to these GMs and these scouts. Like, okay, when he's healthy and right, he could be a difference maker. He could be a legitimate NFL defensive lineman. But again, he has battled injuries, and you wonder how a knee holds up when you're at that size. So I get the trepidation. That I would probably wait till the third or fourth round, but I'd certainly take a flyer on him. Same thing I'd do with Tamorrion Terry. Like, there is no risk at all.
He's getting drafted. He's going to get drafted.
Yeah,
he's 6'4" and runs a 4.4. He's getting drafted.
Yeah, and he can fly, and he's got tape.
Yeah.
Like, it's not tape of him running a bunch of different routes, but the one thing he did well, the one thing he ran well, he did really well. And I just think these coaches, they look at something like that. It's like, okay, I can mold that a little bit. That's something we can make into a really nice player in the NFL. We'll see if it happens, but those measurables and that production. Let's not forget he holds some FSU records for like long touchdowns. He had 1,200 yards receiving. He did some things at Florida State. I think that's enough to get him drafted, and I definitely think he's worth the risk. I don't even think it's much of a risk. I mean, you're not drafting Tamorrion Terry in the first or second round. But I think if anything after the third round, if you draft Tamorrion Terry, man, there is some serious value there, potentially.
Oh, yeah, there's value there for sure. I wouldn't even say potentially. I just don't. I mean, I don't know the kid person, but I would imagine, man, once he finally gets a shot at being in a regimented NFL system, man, I imagine he will fall in line, and his skill set, his athleticism is just. It's very elite. It's unique, man. Not a lot of guys are that size, that kind of body control. Everyone can talk about route combinations or whatever. Man, they'll teach him how to run a dig route. They'll teach him how to.
Well, the one thing I don't like about him, I mean, I got that too. Like, and it wasn't just, not all his catches were bombs. I mean,
he busted a screen against Boise, right? Like Boise, like that one of the first three touchdown drives they had. I think one of the plays was like, Blackman just threw a screen pass out to Terry and he just ran by everybody.
Yeah, and he had other, he caught a bunch of first downs too. They weren't all just 60-yard bombs.
He's not Chris Carr. All he does is catch touchdowns, right?
Yeah, no, there were a lot of catches that weren't touchdowns. But I would say this, the one thing that he desperately has to get better at is 50-50 balls. Not running by people, because he can do that. But in the NFL, man, you don't just run by dudes, right, typically. And you have to go make contested catches with back shoulder catches, jumping up for catches. And I don't know that I remember a catch, not a touchdown catch anyway, where Tamorrion Terry just like leapt over someone and made a catch and high pointed a ball. Like Greg Carr, the great Greg Carr used to do.
Boston,
so that's,
folks, yeah. But he also didn't have the most accurate quarterbacks throwing him footballs.
Sure.
Out.
I didn't see that in his skill set. That doesn't mean it's not there or won't be there. I don't know that you can teach something like that. I feel like you can, but who knows? I don't know if it's like a preternatural feel for something like that. But he didn't do a lot of that. He didn't do a lot of jumping up, like Kelvin Benjamin, for example, and just making plays over people. That's something you got to do in the NFL at that size. You just got to. You're not going to be wide open a lot, so you have to make catches like that over and around DBs. But, he's young, and he might end up being awesome.
All right. We're at the 45-minute mark. We got like 5 more to get to, so I'm gonna hope that you can talk faster. I just won't talk. How about that?
Okay, yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Second question from Daryl. What do you think of the addition of Cameron Fletcher from Kentucky? Looks like a good shooter from the three-point line, has height and some skill.
He officially signed, I guess, on Wednesday. Because Florida State actually announced him, so he officially put his letter of intent in. Yeah, talking to some people over there, they think he has a chance to be awesome, like really talented. And sometimes it just doesn't work out at a place like Kentucky with Calipari. Kentucky is just such a different deal, man, that I usually hold it against the kid when he transfers. Like, what the heck happened there? Why is he leaving? Where's the red flag? At Kentucky, it is just its own animal. So you can't even compare that to normal college basketball. So we'll see. Hopefully he can shine in this environment with this coaching staff, but apparently he has all the potential in the world.
Sign up for Warchant, Daryl says. Drink your DeLuna coffee, hit that thumbs up button, and go Noles. Primetime 92. We might need to start doing his questions in arrears. Like this is like life advice. Like almost you should ask us this week and then give us a week to think about it. Then we'll reply to it. So we can actually be more introspective. Couple questions for today, for this week. What are some bad habits, limiting beliefs that you hold on to that are holding you back? And what's a small gesture from a stranger that made a big impact on you?
Yeah,
I'm
man,
very cynical. I'm like beyond cynical. Like I'm really negative, and I should try to be more positive. I'm sure it would help me out in life, and I try sometimes to be cognizant of it, but I can't, man. I usually think I always see the bad in something, kind of, in a situation at least. But also prevents you from getting screwed and looking dumb, so I don't complain all that much about it.
I don't ever let myself really believe in the sports teams I cheer for. I'm always I never believe the good thing's going to happen. I always believe they're going to lose. I go through life like that. The glass is half empty. Like, I'm a pretty positive person overall, but when it comes to my sports teams, I always assume, well, this is where it ends. They're not winning this, and it always comes true. So I've said this before. I wish I could change my mindset and be like Mark in Naples and be more optimistic and believe that. Be like surprised when the Braves don't win in the postseason. Instead of nodding my head like, yep, this is what they do, I would be actually surprised. I wish I could change that about myself.
But see, you didn't have that in 13, did you? Were you, I mean, I'm sure at some point in the Auburn game there was a little bit of concern, but there was never like, oh my God, it's finally ending, it's all over, this is what it's going to be like. He was like, I got faith in these guys. It's going to work out. They're too good.
Well, yeah, but I didn't believe they were a great team until Clemson. Like, I went up there expecting them to lose that game.
Yeah,
well,
same.
I wasn't necessarily cheering for Florida State at that time, but I was covering them. And why even go into a game like that expecting the worst, expecting them to lose? Why do I do that? I wish I could change that. I know it's Atlanta sports fandom has done it to me. I don't like it, but I don't have to accept it. I can change the way I am. Same thing with my kid. I yell at him too much. I raise my voice at him too much, and I need to get better at that. So. Still, he didn't get a good dinner tonight. I'll tell you that much. But either way, I need to be a better dad when it comes to lessening my tone, softening my tone a bit. I think that's a bad habit that I've got to get out of, because you've seen it, Aslan. It seeps over into when I'm talking to my girlfriend on the tennis court or on the golf course. Like I coach her. I talk to her like I talk to Brady. It's just now it's become my natural way of talking to someone. Even when I'm not mad, it just comes out as I'm mad. So I've got to get better about that.
What small?
But Brady's still got to stay in front of the ball.
He does. You know? Come on, Brady.
Right? I mean, that's the only way I'm going to talk to him.
Stop being scared of it. I don't know. I'll come back to this one maybe at some point. I remember there was a guy at our driving range that had a Lynx Boom Boom driver. I might have told the story before. I was a big Fred Couples guy, and he always saw me like ogling him when he had the driver out, and he bought a new driver. And then one day at the range, he was like, hey, man, if you can hit this straight over the 150 marker on the driving range, I'll give it to you. I'm like, what? And I shanked it. And it went like 50 yards and then just totally duck hook. And he still gave it to me.
Oh,
and that was really cool. I appreciate that. But I'm sure there's something much bigger that's made like a more lasting impact on my life. But I can't remember right now. I will try to, and I will bring it forth as soon as it comes to my mind. What about you, Corey?
I don't think that. I wish you. Can you save that and ask that the next time we get together? Because that's a hard one to like come up with off the cuff. I can't. I'm sure there are, and I'll tell you this: I do try to be that person every now and again to strangers or to people I don't know real well. I try to do something really nice. I try to pay it forward a little bit. I like being that person, and hopefully everybody listening to this, you'll do that. You'll do something nice for someone you don't know, and they'll always remember you, even if you don't even remember their name. You could do something nice for them and just make the world a better place. Am I right, Aslan?
Absolutely. NYC_Nole_2. So this isn't Paul Gleason avatar NYC Nole. This is NYC Nole 2. This is Charlie running away from a Miami defender in 92 because he's wearing white jersey. It ain't a Garnet jersey.
There you go, Aslan. Absolutely, 1992.
There we go.
He got sacked like 8 times that game, so he didn't do a lot of running around.
His shoulder pads exposed, like his jersey's ripped off. Yeah, he's running away. The Miami defender's diving at his feet, but has missed. And Charlie's galloping away.
He's probably about to get sacked right off the frame. The other guy's coming to get him.
Wake up! Good morning to everyone, especially those sipping DeLuna coffee. Zach here from the city that never sleeps, COVID notwithstanding. 2 quick points I wanted to make. 1, There's an ongoing discussion about increasing the playoff system that starts swirling each year, and this time I think it's off to an early start. I am aware soon enough they will increase the playoff to 8 teams, but in my personal opinion, this would come at a loss. Corey correctly noted the other day that college is now much closer to the NFL than high school, a transition that has occurred over the past 30 years. While this is true, a large part of the reason that college football is so beloved is because it is different in key ways, particularly the importance of winning every game. As FSU fans, we should be acutely aware of this. Our rivalry with Miami would not be nearly as hostile or memorable if a national title was not on the line for many of those last-second field goals, extra points, where both teams would have made a playoff. Losing in South Bend in 93, followed by BC beating Notre Dame by a field goal the week after. Not nearly the same intense emotional roller coaster if there had been a broad-based playoff to, quote, get it right. I'm not saying that money won't force us in that direction, just that something special about this specific sport, this game that we all love, will most be lost. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, man. That guy's co-signed on you. You tell me where you want to go, where you want to march. I'll be there. I'll bring it. I'll bring everything.
No, what we grew up with, and I'm speaking as an old man sitting on his lawn, is over. It's never coming back. The money got too big. Again, 1988 might as well be 1912 when it comes to the difference in dollars between 1988 and 2021. It's just there's just no comparison. And so the more money that came into the sport, the more they tried to do these things. They screwed it up so bad that I was all for the playoff when it started, because I'm like, it can't be any worse than these stupid computers, or it can't be any worse than this stupid, whatever it was called, the Bowl Alliance.
Yeah.
They just never did it right forever. They were the only level of football at any level that didn't have playoffs. From every other college level to peewee football to high school football, every other entity playing the sport had playoffs except college, which is weird when you think about it. But it's the reality. That's what it was. And you know, they decided to go the playoff route. It will continue to expand, and it will just continue to be more and more like the NFL, and it will continue to devalue the regular season. That doesn't mean anything other than it devalues the regular season. I still think it can be special. It's not going to be what it was in the 1980s and 1990s and everything else, but it can, you know, it's different, man. It's just, I don't, you know, it's going to be 8. It's going to be 8 soon enough. And then before we're dead, it'll be 16. And that'll probably be where it stays. But it's just too much money. It makes too much sense. You're not going to go backwards and get rid of the playoff. That's not happening. So it's just going to expand. But I can tell you this, the playoffs have sucked. All of them. Like, how many good playoff games have there been since it started?
We've talked about this. I mean, the national title game between Alabama and Georgia was good. Georgia.
No, I'm talking about the playoff, like the semifinals.
Yeah, Georgia, Oklahoma, Baker versus.
Yeah, that's what. There's been what? There's been 12.
The Ohio State Alabama game was pretty good. 2014.
Yeah.
But
That
otherwise,
one, the Georgia
yeah.
Oklahoma
all
one,
the Clemson ones have
awful.
sucked. All the Clemson ones have sucked.
Except for the Ohio State one. The Clemson-Ohio
Yeah.
State a couple years ago was good. There have been like 3 good playoff games out of however many there have been now. 7.
I mean, Alabama
14.
stopped Michigan State,
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
so
not
at least if you go to 8, you're going to get better playoff games, and that might seem weird.
Well, I don't know. Well, Alabama, we had Alabama,
Alabama's
Cincinnati.
but they're going to crush. Alabama crushes anybody, no matter what. But there will be 3 other games, and 2 of them might be good.
Yeah,
you know,
Clemson,
as opposed
you had Clemson, Florida, Ohio State, Oklahoma, then Notre Dame, Texas A&M. That's potential.
2 of those. Yeah, you can have some close games. Yeah. You know, so that's what they're going to do, and that's what it'll end up being. And you know, it's never gonna go back. And this is the new reality, man. This is just the new reality. Yes, it has devalued the regular season. There will be a team in our lifetime that wins the national championship with 3 losses.
I don't know about that.
They'll at least get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you know, and they'll have a chance. So, and when we were growing up, when Florida State was Florida State, if they lost once, it was a funeral in Tallahassee.
Yep.
Because there goes the national championship. It's over.
Yeah.
And was that fair back then? No, it was dumb. It was ridiculous that Florida State didn't get to play for a national championship because they lost on a field goal, missed field goal. Like, that's crazy. But that's how it was done. That doesn't mean that the way it was done back then was right. It did make those regular season games more important, and that's never coming back.
I remember I was at UCF in 2000, and like a dozen, like I knew half of them were my friends, and then the other half were like people they'd made friends with up in Tallahassee. But they came down to Orlando after the 2000 Miami game because they were so despondent. And a couple of them were like, let's just get out of town. We'll go hang out with Aslan in Orlando. Yeah. And I remember being like at a party, and they were just like morose. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, freaking Miami game. Freaking, what was it? Was it Munyon? Was it Munyon?
Munyon. Yeah, it was Munyon in
like
2000.
Munyon.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, whatever. I'm like, we just played Akron, you know? You're Florida State.
Right.
Be happy.
Yeah, and Munyon, hey, I give Munyon credit, man. He gave that one a ride.
Yeah, he did. He had no
That
point.
was a long one.
He should have been in the game. He had no business being in that game. But
that was a long one, and he barely missed it. I remember that game, though, because Miami also had a loss, that I remember thinking, okay, Florida State still has a chance. Right. Things can work out. It's early. They can't lose again, but it's early. But there were other games, obviously the 91 game in October or November, where you're like, season's over. Right. Season's over. And that happened more than once.
2 from NYC Noel, 2 of his 2 quick points. Love the Brady Clark.
I'm not talking very fast, Aslan. I'll speed it up. I apologize.
Yeah, we're at an hour. I don't know what we're going to do here. Probably not. Okay. AJ Duffy, really good ball placement. Needs to get a little bit quicker on his release, maybe. That's what Michael Langston said.
Okay, all right.
Love the Brady Clark updates, NYC_Noel_2 says. But I feel like if you're going to get us invested in Brady's athletic career, we're going to want to know more about what type of effort is being put in behind the scenes. How many swings are we taking each day? How many ground balls are we fielding each week? Pop-ups, Capri Suns consumed, etc., etc. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to making a call-in show sometime.
Ooh, there you go. I would say Brady Clark gets in with his dad, whose arm is about to fall off. Probably 150 swings a week. I'd probably take him out there a couple of times before practice or on our own, and we'll do 50 swings, 35 to 50 swings. And if anybody out there listening is a baseball coach or knows how to coach baseball, if you guys can figure out a way to let me know how to coach that kid from quit stepping towards shortstop when he swings and keep everything going towards the pitcher, I will pay you $200. Just give me a tip, because I've tried everything, and it's just he will not stop stepping towards the shortstop. And then we played a game the other day where I hit him 30 ground balls, and I said, "What would you be happy with out of 30 ground balls? What do you think you should feel to be happy?" And he said 27 of them, or he said 25 of them.
Okay.
And I'm like, Brady, the right answer there is 30, but okay, we'll go with 25. We'll go with a solid B. And he goes, "Well, that's not what I meant. I just said 25 or 30 for my age is pretty good." I'm like, "Well, right, but let's chase perfection and." Whatever that, you shoot for the stars and fall on the moon, or whatever that stupid saying is.
Parents these days are the worst. I was at a baby shower this past weekend, and my friends were bragging about how great their kid's doing in school, but apparently his report card were all like S's, like satisfactory, not excellent.
Oh, and
they're like, what's going on? Like, why are they not getting all these excellent? He keeps getting all these great grades and stuff. And like, well, he's not showing the initiative and doing more than what he can. Like, we're asking them to write how many, like a minimum of 3 sentences for this language arts activity. And he's like 6 years old, and he's only writing 3. We really would like to see him write 5. We know he's capable of it. And like my buddy's like, I'm like, it's okay, man. He's still going to be able to get into Princeton. Like, this isn't going to hold him back.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's not the 6 when he's 6. So, but that's what I told Brady. Is like, man, yeah, you're right. So what he did, just to keep everybody up to date, and then we're done with Brady Clark talk for this show, is I ended up hitting him 35 ground balls, and he was 33 of 35.
Let's go!
So I'll take it. That's what I'm trying. We're trying to chase things. We're trying to chase perfection.
The chase.
Never going to get there, but we're trying to chase it.
I think a guy around here said something about chase and perfection.
Yeah, at some point.
Big Steve-O 22. Good morning, fellas. Hope all is well with you and your families. Quick note, Aslan, I want to say I agree with you about Get Up. He likes Get Up. Good. It's a good show. I think it's a good one, too.
Okay.
Did you guys watch that crazy UFC card this past weekend? I did not, but I saw the highlights. I saw the knockout of Masvidal by, who's it, Usman? Oh, brutal. I mean, it looked like he punched a water balloon. Like, that's how violent the punch was. All this sweat, like, popped off of his face.
I saw the highlight, yeah.
And then Chris Weidman, my God, did you see him break his leg kicking that guy?
I saw it. I didn't know what I was looking at. And I saw it once.
I
glanced at it, and I'm like, I'm done with that. And I kept scrolling.
It's Theismann marrying Alex Smith's injury, and then
what does it say about the people that will watch that stuff over and over? I mean, they're sociopaths, right?
My leg hurts. I'm standing up. I'm clutching my leg right now. Anyways, I just wanted to state how impressed I am with Coach Ham and the news that 10 players walked across the stage with a college degree from Florida State University. As a parent, I'm not sure how you could not encourage your child to look at playing for a man like that. I mean, how many programs out there are having that much success both on and off the court? I know for some of the top talent in the country, college basketball is just a stopgap to the pros, and I understand the lifelong dream for these kids is to make it to the pros and earn that check. As parents, we always want what is best for our kids. We want them to be good citizens in this world, receive a quality education, and to be successful in every walk of life. From everything you guys report about Coach Ham, it sounds like he preaches that to his players all the time. And I just want to say I'm glad that there are coaches out there who place values on these kids like their life outside of the game. Thanks for all you guys do and all the content. He sends condolences to Geno Hayes. Yeah, man, Ham he's the true thing, man. He walks it, he talks it, and it's incredible, man.
It matters to him, and I remember there was a story he was telling me. This is way off. It was off the record, but it was about a player that played years and years ago. So it was a foreign player that was over here, and he wasn't going to class. And Hamilton sat him for number one. He spoke to him in front of the entire team, and said, "What am I supposed to tell your mom and your sister that you're not going to class? Are you kidding me? You need to be," and he dressed them down in front of the entire team and said, "You've let your team down, but you've also let your family down. You're here. The main reason you're here is to get an education. Then we'll see what happens after that." Like, it mattered. And I just don't know that there are other coaches around the country. There are some. Leonard's not alone. And Leonard, look, he's paid to win games first and foremost. So let's not get it twisted. But this other stuff really does matter to Leonard Hamilton a lot. And I don't know that you could go around the country and say that about most of the other people in this profession. But to Leonard Hamilton, it really does matter. And, you know, I was talking to him the other day, and he was lamenting a little bit about the rush for all these kids to go pro and make money, even if it's overseas. And some people might hear that and say, okay, well, it's easy for the millionaire to say that, hey, let's not rush, let's take it back. And it might seem self-serving. Like, okay, yeah, the millionaire head coach wants his good players to stay for a year. And he wasn't even talking about anyone on this year's team in particular. He was speaking in generalities. And he's like, but education does, he's like, Corey, education does matter, right? Like, we've gotten to a point where education is almost laughed at as a reason to go to college to play basketball. And some other coaches that would say something like that, you might roll your eyes like, okay, Leonard, yeah, I know. But Leonard is Leonard. And this is how he's built. This is him. He really does want his kids to get an education. And when there's a Jonathan Isaac that rolls along and Jonathan Isaac wants to stay for a sophomore year, Leonard says, nope, you're done. You're going pro. That's $20 million guaranteed. You're not coming back to school. It's those other guys that he really wishes would. Just the way the talk around college basketball is now, that education is just not considered important at all. And to Leonard Hamilton, it will always be important. It really will. And I don't say that stuff lightly. I'm not a homer. To Leonard Hamilton, it really does matter. And so, yeah, Florida State fans should all be very, very happy with who they have as the head basketball coach.
XDQ004, wake up! I've got two questions. I'm going to start with the second one and then go to the first one. First, it says, just because I want to make a comment on something. With NIL, name, image, and likeness, set to start in July, has warchant.com thought about which player or recruit they're going to have as their first official spokesman for the website and the podcast? We have not. We should probably start discussing that. This Apex thing that we touted about Florida State cutting edge, being on the cutting edge, leading edge of this thing. I saw they made an image of Jarvis Brownlee and had his Twitter handle and his Instagram handle on it. And then FSU football's Twitter account just tweeted it out. It just said paper chaser or what, like touch paper _3, like nothing like, build. I don't know how to build your brand, but it just made an image of him and they just tweeted it out. So if you're looking to maybe get back into the employable workforce, everybody, just learn how to make cool images of players with their Twitter handle next to it, and maybe you'll end up working for a leading-edge company. But I don't know. Are we going to go with a player or a recruit? And who do we...
I don't think we could do a recruit. I would think it'd have to be an actual player, right? Or at least a signee.
Yeah.
We could get a signee.
Let's Travis Hunter, man. Let's go big.
Obviously, Travis Hunter. We go big. We're going for it. We're going to stake a claim to him. Don't know what the price tag is yet, but we'll match it. We'll match whatever his best offer is and add $5. Okay. That's what we'll tell him. But he's the first one we go after. And then I don't know. Who's after that, man?
I'm trying to think, who can we tie into Ultimate? Because we're the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Like, hey, I'm Jordan Travis, the ultimate Swiss Army knife at quarterback.
Okay.
Or like, I'm Matt Nelson. I'm the ultimate power source. So I'm trying to think there. But yeah, it's probably going to be
Guys,
somebody
if you have any
football.
ideas, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. We'll go after all of them.
Yeah.
I assume we can do it, so we need to. And I think that's the thing. Like, Travis Hunter could literally have, when you start thinking about it, like Travis Hunter, by the time he's a senior at Florida State or junior, sophomore, whatever, however long he lasts, he might have 50,000 Twitter followers, 100,000 Twitter followers if he blows up like we think he could.
Oh.
Well, just think about him just tweeting hey, when I'm reading up on all my highlights and all the awesome things I'm doing, I go to warchant.com. Boom. There's 100,000 people we just reached.
Yeah, I catch everything that comes my way on the field. When I'm off the field, I catch all my information on warchant.com. There we go. Maybe.
Okay, I like it. And I love Wake Up Warchant. Listen to Corey and Aslan every morning.
And I drink that DeLuna coffee. That DeLuna coffee.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you think I'm able to play both sides of the football? Caffeinated.
Yeah, okay. All
right, first question from XDQ004. Since this is draft week, I would like for you guys to tell us one player who you felt left school too early for the NFL and one player who came back who should have left after his junior year. You can't use Marvin.
Oh, man. Well, that was the automatic.
Who left early? Derwin. Selfish. Derwin.
Very selfish.
Should have given us something.
Too.
Should have given us something more. Can we use Terry then if we can't use Marvin? Should have left after his junior year.
Well,
but it makes sense because wasn't it a pretty deep receiver class last year? That was the whole thing.
But he certainly would have been a better prospect going into last year's draft than this year's draft, in my opinion. And he wouldn't have had, essentially leaving the team, getting kicked off the team on his resume. Then he'd have been the guy that carried a bad offense. So yeah, that wasn't great.
But he didn't want to leave fumbling in El Paso. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave.
He didn't
on
want that
note.
to be his last. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty, right? There's plenty of them that left too early. I mean, even like Geno Hayes left early.
PK Sam did PK leave early?
PK Sam left early. It was like a 5th round pick. Kerfonso Thorpe left early. I think maybe he didn't. No, he couldn't because he came back. He came back because he was hurt. But Geno Hayes, because I was writing that story, I didn't realize that he had declared early for the draft, and he was a 6th round pick. Now it worked out. He played 7 years in the NFL, but he probably, in my opinion, may have cost himself some money by not playing himself in like a 3rd or 4th round pick. But who knows? That's all. Those are always hard to really quantify.
Monday morning quarterback.
I don't know.
The player that came back that should have left though really is what, Brandon Jenkins.
Well, he could be the answer to both of them. Because he left then when he could have come back for another year. He left after his Liz Frank injury. So he came back after his 2010 season or 2011 season. One of those years he had like 12 sacks. And then he came back for 2000. Let's say he came back for 2012 and then got hurt and did not play in 2012. He could have come back for the 2013 season, but then left, even though he wasn't his foot wasn't right. He did the workouts in the pro day and he couldn't move because he still wasn't 100% healed.
So he got hurt his junior year? He played 13 games his junior year, 2011. 41 total tackles, 12 TFLs. He had 21 and a half as a sophomore.
But then he came back for the 2012 season. And
Which
got
he shouldn't
hurt
have.
before
He should
the
have left
season.
after 2011. He should have left.
Sure, but once he did that, so he did come back for 2012. We should say, okay, he made a mistake there. But he did. He came back for 2012 and then got hurt. And then declared anyway. He could have played in 2013. He had a redshirt year available to him.
All right.
And he ended up being a 5th round pick and playing. I don't even know if he played a game. I don't know if he made the team and then was out of football. And imagine what he would have looked like on that 13 team opposite
Mario
Edwards. Yeah. Imagine that defense with a healthy Brandon Jenkins on it. They might have won another national championship. They still did pretty well, obviously. But yeah, I think you could make the argument there that maybe he messed up twice, coming back when he did and then staying when he left. Or I didn't say that right. Leaving when he did and coming back when he did. Both were probably mistakes.
He played 5 games for the then Washington Redskins. 1 tackle, 2013.
Yeah.
That was
Yep, and then he was done.
Professional career. So
it's a bummer too because he was
man.
that was a huge injury.
Yeah.
He's probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick if he doesn't have that injury. And then it just, he got a little anxious. It's out there. I'm eligible. I don't want to make that mistake again. I should have left last year, and I made that mistake. And then it ended up being a bigger mistake to leave than coming back just because he would have been a part of that team, and he would have looked incredible. I mean, imagine rushing alongside Timmy Jernigan and Eddie Goldman. I mean, he would have looked incredible. Who knows how? Well, probably not many sacks because they only played that for the first halves of most games anyway. But yeah, so that's a good answer too.
3 more. Knowles fan from South Florida.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Hey, man, you were doing so good, and then you really expounded on the guy from Kentucky when you should have just given us your 15-second.
Sorry, you're right.
And then you're
just
like, well, Kentucky, when guys transfer, usually I don't like it, but Kentucky.
Well, it wasn't that. It was also going in on Leonard with the graduation.
Well, that was fine.
I talked too much.
Who cares about Cal? Wake up! Haven't asked a question on here in a while, but I still listen every day. I still love the show, and when you two get simulcasted on ESPN, I want the first shout out.
Okay.
All right. Deal. But here we go. 1 question, 1 comment. First, with both Marvin and Terry and the notion that they both could very likely go day 3. There's even been some rumblings Big Marv could go undrafted. And while both had a blame for their stock dips for different reasons, I personally believe both should have left last year. I agree. I admire both for wanting to leave FSU on a high note, but I believe in striking when the iron is its hottest. As much as us fans love to say, if you stay another year, you can improve your draft status, because deep down we're just being selfish. Both of those two are counterexamples of that thought process. Thoughts?
Well, I
remember we were in El Paso. I'm like, what? They're both coming back? Why? I wasn't angry about it. I was like, awesome, this is going to make this team better next year. But them personally, selfishly, it was like, man, I felt like you both did enough to get where you want to go in life, and you used us. That's fine. That's how it works. Go do your thing. But they didn't.
Well, Marvin got a degree, and he did say that was the reason he came back, and he got it. People can roll their eyes at that if they want, but that was very important to his mom. It was very important to him. So I'm not going to diminish that or dismiss it. He came back for that. There's no way that he thought he was going to play the 2020 season and have 11 tackles or 14 tackles or whatever it was. There was also no way to know what 2020 was going to be. There was no COVID. It just wasn't. There's nothing COVID. There nobody. I mean, it was bad for everybody that came back. It was just an awful time. They didn't even know if there was going to be a season. So it was. All of it didn't work out. I would be very surprised if Marvin just didn't get drafted. But that season with the injury didn't help him at all. Same with Tamarian with his injury, and then basically like we talked about leaving the team. So yeah, I don't want to play that game where we kind of criticize people for coming back to school. Like, they have their reasons. It didn't work out. But there's also no guarantee that if Tamarian Terry got scouted a certain way, like, he wasn't scouted. So there's no guarantee that he was a 2nd-round pick last year either. Like, maybe there were some red flags with teams last year, and he would have dipped to the 3rd or 4th round. Maybe the same thing with Marvin. What I always hate is when people assume, man, Marvin was going to be a 1st round. I saw a mock draft where Marvin was going to be like the 26th pick in the draft, and now he was drafted in the 6th round. What a huge mistake. And it's like, well, that was a mock draft made by someone that has no clue. It was a mock draft in January. It wasn't even close to the draft. It was a mock draft in December. Those don't matter. So you heard that a lot with, like, Jimmy Clausen. Like, oh, he made a huge mistake. Man, Jimmy Clausen was never going to be a 1st-round pick. He didn't hurt his – like, Marvin hurt his stock because of the knee, and then obviously that tweet, he's had to answer for that too. But there's no way he could foresee that. And he did get his degree. He did start up the charity in Tallahassee that I do think means a lot to him. And so it wasn't all bad. There was some good that came of it. And I do hope the kid gets drafted as high as possible and plays for a decade in the league.
I wanted to say something, but it's too late. Now, with the draft itself, all 6 prospects do have a decent shot of all being drafted, but 5 of the 6 are defensive players. 5 players on that defense that was ranked in the 100s could end up drafted. I'm all about the players getting theirs, but even I'll admit that realization irked me a little bit. A defensive end that didn't get a single sack last season could end up getting his name called. thoughts on that as well?
It won't be early for any of them. Maybe Hamsa. But again, Hamsa's hurt all year. Besides Sante. I was thinking about the defensive ends.
Right.
Mainly, it's not going to be early for them if they get drafted at all. But yeah, man, they have measurables, and we'll see what happens. But yes, that would be very odd for a defense as horrendous as the one we watched in 2020 to have 5 guys drafted off it, because you could probably say that I would guess there won't be more than 2 schools in the country that have more defensive players taken than Florida State if Florida State has 5 players drafted.
Did I ask you this last week? Will there be any correlation with how long those guys stay in the league and whether or not Mike Norvell's still the coach here? Like if J-Rob, Kando, Marvin, let's say 3 of those 5 guys end up signing second deals in the NFL. Like, will we be like, will Mike Norvell still be here? Not that like one thing calls it, but will that kind of been like, well, they didn't use these guys. That kind of was a bad sign.
Again, I'm not blaming him for Marvin, man. Marvin was an awesome player his first 2 years here, and then was not good and was hurt in 2020. And Janarius and Kando they weren't good on the other staffs either. So I don't think you could look at if Janarius plays in the NFL and has an okay career. I don't think you could look at it and be like, man, he was really wasted at Florida State. Like the guy he got plenty of opportunity.
Yeah.
So did Kando. They just never were. It's not like they were playing behind guys. They just were never. They just never produced ever. Well, I shouldn't say that. J-Rob did occasionally.
A bonus from a Noles fan from South Florida. I think Hamsa will be a high-value pick between rounds 3 and 5. Janaris could end up a solid pro. Just needs to be in a stable situation. Terry will be a poor man's DK. DK's a freak. DK Metcalf is just a freak, though. Asante I want in black and gold, and Marvin could always come back for his degree, right? Well, he already got it. Thanks for all that you do, and as always, go Noles. Random_John, good morning, gentlemen. How are our beloved prognosticators, podcasters today? Corey's doing well. I'm doing well, too. Thank you. Question, how does FSU what does FSU have to do to keep players from leaving early, a la Baylor this year? Are we talking about basketball? One can make assumptions that based on seasonal outcomes, most of Baylor's starting 5 are better than FSU's, and yet Baylor's are coming back. What is it about Waco that has kids clamoring to stay versus a chance at millions of dollars? Is Tallahassee and FSU that far behind Waco in offerings that FSU seems to be a place to run away and Waco seems like a place to run to? I remember hearing Doug Gottlieb on the Rosillo podcast talking about, like, there's nothing to do in Waco, so if you go there to play ball, it's just nothing but ball, and that's what Scott Drew was able to, like, recruit and build. But still, though, like, that makes no sense. These guys are all coming back. Like, you balled. You did your part.
That's not true, is it?
I don't know. Basketball's not my account, man.
Yeah, I don't think that those guys are coming back. That would be very surprising. I thought that they've already talking about the guards, especially being, going to combines and being, maybe he's talking about last year that they came back.
Okay.
Because some of them were kind of draftable last year. And the answer is, man, I don't know. Some guys are just ready to leave. Like Balsha isn't ready. I don't think he was ready to get out of Florida State. I just think he wants to go make money. And it might be overseas. It might be in the G League. But some kids are just ready. You put enough tape out there, you think, and you want to go. And they're in a rush. Raekwon graduated. He was one of the 10. He was here 4 years. He put in time at Florida State. I wouldn't say that he's rushing at all. Like, he could come back and maybe improve his stock, or maybe he's friends with Marvin Wilson. Saw what good that did. So yeah, I don't know. I think Florida State. I think it's still the exception when a player comes back. It just is. Florida State's not immune to it, but look, they're all leaving. There's like 200 early entries for a draft that has 60 spots. So good luck to everyone.
Drill Sergeant Porter, wake up. Okay, so this week I wanted to ask you both and anyone else to share a time where they were proud with how much they influenced someone else to be an FSU fan. My daughter is 14 now, but her mother and I divorced when she was about 5. She was staying with me one Friday night, and her mother was picking her up the following morning to bring her uniform and drive her to her Saturday morning soccer game. While I was following them, I saw a blue flash come out of the window where my daughter was sitting. Once we got to the game, I asked her mother what it was. Her mom had a Gatorade for her, and when she gave it to my daughter replied, "We don't drink Gatorade," and threw it out the window.
Oh, my God.
Let's go. Needless to say, I handed my daughter a Powerade and told her how proud I was. Go Noles. That's amazing, man.
That's extreme. That's like littering.
Oh.
They're littering to prove a point. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know how I'd react if – I mean, part of me, like, I think if I was retelling the story a few years later, I would laugh as I told it. But if I handed Brady a Gatorade and he just threw it out the window while we're in a moving car, I think the mean Corey would come out there. I don't know that I would handle – even if I appreciate this sentiment, I don't know that I want my 14-year-old – or 12-year-old to be, throwing stuff out of a moving car. But it is an awesome story. And years later, I would certainly speak glowingly about that moment. What if it hit a kid on a bike?
Well, I think she threw it out the moving. Maybe it was just the fluid. Didn't throw the bottle. Yeah, if you get hit by water and it knocks you off your bicycle, you probably shouldn't be riding a bicycle.
Yeah, you don't need to be riding a bike. Oh, I figured it was the whole. So she just did a quick tossing a glass of water out in the sink.
Yeah. I think she's cognizant.
Oh, okay. Oh, do that. Well, I'd be worried about getting in the car then. But if everything worked out all right, then hey, man, that is a really good story. That's a funny story for sure.
We're done though. We're new live show. We just went 2 hours. Sorry, everybody.
I can't believe it.
He's Corey and Mazlon. We'll talk to you live Thursday, podcast on Friday. Have a great one.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.